What is good? We're coming to you live from a phone in your hand type of day if you're an NFL fan from Charleston, South Carolina. A lot of action, even though it was a crappy free agent class, you know, as they say, but a lot of good action. We got some trades, we got some free agents. Of course, it's Mock Draft Monday. So we got a mock going on, but that's probably going to be a little bit more in the background today as we digest what's going on around the league. It just so happens to fall on a wonderful Monday, so we get to come to you live. Got my guy Big Co over here. What's up?
Had to charge my phone twice today to keep up with this.
Got to. You better not be streaming any music either. We got Chevdor Sanders holding it down over there in Tennessee or Arkansas or Alabama. I don't know.
Yeah, Northwest Arkansas, man.
Northwest.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with
the rest of the state.
You don't want to be in the rest of the state. JK. Never been to Arkansas.
Don't. You don't have to say you're kidding. Even people from here will tell you that.
Yeah.
Perfectly fine.
Well, Charleston's decent. Come on down. Beaches are good.
Look forward to it.
Weathers are sunny. Yeah, come on. All right. So we've got quarterback action.
Come on in. So much
we got
quarterback action.
We got wide receiver action, running back action, minimal, not a whole lot to talk about. You know, I mean, we'll talk about some of it, but you want to start with Fields or Darnold?
I mean, it's got to be Darnold, right?
Does it though?
I mean, the moves that had to fall into place to get Darnold there.
Right.
Will Darnold stay in Minnesota? Is he leaving KOC? Is he going to look anywhere like he did with KOC when he gets to his next destination? Where will it be? Oh, the Seahawks traded Geno, and then they paid Darnold $100 million. That's those are some dominoes.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like this was a possibility of something happening. We talked about it at one point on a preview show that we were doing, Chev, and now here we are, and it seemed like maybe it might have saved the Seahawks a couple bucks here with Sam Darnold instead of what Geno was asking for, and you get a little pick on top of it. I think it's a pretty net zero situation. The only thing is you know, I think Geno proved that you know, if the situation isn't completely correct, he could at least survive. That's kind of the knock on Darnold right now. They got to get this offensive line right in Seattle. They've been injured, but that's going to be a big cog in the wheel of Sam Darnold. And a lot of people, the last thing you remember were the last two games of pressure and Darnold. So
he stinks.
Is this a possibility, you know, of working out or not working out,
or having sex?
So honestly, you got to look at it. You got to look at it glass half full. I mean, he's this year's Baker. He gets the Baker deal. He goes to a situation where he has to prove again that he's a competent quarterback. And the last taste he leaves in your mouth, no diddy, is the fact that like he just crumbled under pressure. And even some of it wasn't on the offensive line. It was just him getting nervous and just drifting around in the pocket until somebody sacks him. So I would love to see him flourish. I mean, you're set up for a little bit of success. Clint Kubiak likes to take the deep downfield shots. The problem is you can't take deep downfield shots if you're constantly throwing off your back foot or on your back. We just watched Geno do it. Geno was much better under pressure than we think Sam Darnold is going to be. So it remains to be seen. I'm hoping for the best, but this could blow up in, you know, all of the Sam Darnold truthers' faces.
Well, it does multiple things for the Sam Darnold people. It stabilizes some value. You got a landing spot that isn't awful. You know, I think you're okay with it as fantasy wise as him being a quarterback for you. Maybe not in one quarterback,
100%.
but Superflex, it solidifies some stuff for you, and it does have a chance to really work out. But for the Seahawks side of things, it saves you some money. And if it doesn't work out, worst case scenario, he's a bridge to, you know, what you're trying to rebuild. Obviously, right now, you're trying to put your stamp on it if you're you know, Seattle and the GM and the head coach right now, right? You've gotten all the old guard out. Now you're bringing, you know, what your materials in here to build whatever you're trying to build. So, you know, which I think is good by the Seahawks to hopefully let him see all this out, which is, you know, not a common trend in the NFL these days, to let you get this reset and maybe get a little bit of time here. I feel like the Seahawks are pretty intentional in how they do stuff. Schneider, like, There's no way you were just going to get rid of Geno, and it just felt like it pretty much had to be Sam Darnold. Like I just what you know what I mean? So yeah. I trust the Seahawks organization for the most part here, and so I kind of like this. I don't know if Sam's going to work out or not, but I have faith in him. I'm not worried about it. We have to see if we can get another receiver and see if we can just make that line play a little better. I think by proxy, by getting a run game established, which is what Kubiak wants to do, and I think that's what McDonald wants to do as well. A little more ball control and run it. So
what confidence the organization has shown to McDonald to obviously the GM has a lot to say there. It'll be interesting in a few years to kind of get some backstory on these big time moves they're making, especially if there's success. And if there's not success, people will definitely be pointing the fingers. But like, what confidence to go through this? Like you said, the old guard. I mean, they literally are huge. I mean, a huge seismic shift here. Geno was winning some games.
Mm-hmm.
Geno was playing well at certain times when you're like, the Seahawks have no chance here. And then Geno, late in the game, Geno like wowed me many times.
Sure.
Standing in the pocket, making a good throw here and there. And he was winning games. And not many, I mean, in the like top half of the league as far as like, all of a sudden got my confidence when the fourth quarter comes, can he get down the field and make a play? And he was doing that. So to move on from that, obviously, you get 10 years younger at the quarterback position. If it works out for the Seahawks, that's a huge move. I like the fact that they got a third-round pick and then they paid a quarterback. So, like, you don't have to draft, all your draft assets, you actually went, you added to your draft assets and then you paid a quarterback. Probably the same thing you're probably going to have to pay Geno, maybe a little bit less. And then if it works out, you got a much younger quarterback and you got more draft capital. You didn't have to use the draft capital to get the quarterback. So now you can add around your team. Of course, the cap is significantly higher than it was, last year. So you spend that money, and it'll be interesting to see what happens with the Seahawks. And
what did they get for DK? Was it a second?
Second.
So they got a second and a third now for this. So two crucial picks in a round, and in those first 3 rounds, there's a lot of guys that you like, right? Whether it is skill or offense, defensive lineman, linebacker, safeties, corners, there's enough to go around in those top 3 rounds, and they just got an extra shot, extra bullet in the gun in both.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's good movement by the Seahawks, as much as it pains me to say there. I think that was all positive movement. I mean, losing a guy like DK stinks, but like, DK's kind of that tweener. Like, he can be your wide receiver 1, but is he a wide receiver 1? Do you want to pay him wide receiver 1 money? They're not sure that they necessarily had the answer to that, so they didn't.
Yeah.
I think that was a savvy move by that front office. And on the contrary, like, I think Pete Carroll getting Geno is great for him, and I think the Steelers getting DK is great for them. So, I'm not aghast by either side doing on any parts of these trades going from the Seahawks.
This is a great move for the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
As far as winning, I mean, it's not going to do. They're obviously not winning the championship in the next 2 years. So next year their draft pick is going to be worse. But it's hard to sell that to the locker room. Hey guys, basically they went into last year with the types of quarterbacks that gets you an early draft pick, and maybe Tom was like, I don't want to spend these. That maybe they take Shedeur Sanders and let him sit on the bench for a year behind Geno or whatever. But like, maybe this is just a great move to become not a terrible team. And so I mean that Geno brings a skill set to the quarterback position to the Raiders that they haven't had in a long time.
Yeah, it allows them to have a guy that's a professional that knows how to that can operate in structure and out of structure, and he can mentor Aiden O'Connell. I saw that they released Gardner Minshew. So if you're gonna go the route of taking Jackson Dart at 6, which we know QBs get steamed up every single year,
every time,
it's becoming more and more crystallized that Shedeur, Shevdur, my namesake, is not going to make it out of the top 3. So that leaves you with Jackson Dart or punt and go get somebody that can actually help your team right now. But if you're going to develop a guy, I wouldn't mind him learning behind a guy like Geno who's got mobility. Like, so the parallels between Dart and Geno Smith are much more aligned than they would be with Geno and a guy like Shedeur, in my opinion. You know, you got a guy, he's got mobility, he's got a big arm, he loves to throw it down the field. Jackson Dart had the most yards on deep passes of 20-plus yards in the NCAA last year and a 42% completion rate to go along with that. So Jackson Dart is a guy who could come in and learn, and I think that's the best path to success for him specifically.
I agree.
And you could really start setting yourself up for success while not being a complete shit show.
Yeah.
So
and I think that's
Geno
the Brady
gives you
effect.
that floor and that stability.
I think that's the Brady effect. I think Brady got there and was like, we're not going to be a shit show. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Brady's not
Yeah,
trying
absolutely.
to.
That's a great point.
He's not trying to be 3-14.
That's not how you build a culture, right? And that's what Pete's there to do. Let's make no qualms about it. If Pete can do something, he can make a locker room be, decent. How long does he have, and how long will that, we don't know. And maybe Chip Kelly takes that job right over. Like, they got a decent system in place here of like, hey, he could kind of watch how this goes. Maybe Chip takes this over someday. Maybe not. But I mean, that certainly could be, a passing of the baton of, power transition in that.
It's a good point. If it works out, that's a good point.
I want Chip calling plays. I do not want Chip leading my men.
Well, maybe he learns from a really good coach.
See. We shall see.
I hope.
Just
all I know is it's going to be like whoever the bell cow is going to be. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but whoever the bell cow is going to be fed in Las Vegas this year.
Yeah. Have you guys ever seen those videos where they put like some, viral video and then they'll put like a car racing below it or whatever? They just got I feel like that's what we're doing live right now. We got this mock rolling behind us.
Yeah.
And we're just talking. We're just, that's just for, some viewers. No, this is what today was going to be. We're not focused on the mock per se. We can kind of come in and out. I will say this on this mock here. Last week we had Pat Mahomes going the second round. Here we have him going 110. So back in the first. He's back in the saddle there. Puka still going 2-3 with the Davante Adams news. I don't know why he would or wouldn't, but in this particular case, still strong.
A mock is a mock, and every draft's going to be different, but there's 2 spaces between CeeDee Lamb and Brian Thomas. I called it.
It's coming. And now everything's gutted there. I mean, we got an all-time Brian Thomas ceiling of value right here for sure.
What is it? Vacated targets narrative around Jacksonville. Here it comes. Look out.
It's Parker Washington's his only competition.
Britton Strange.
You guys aren't worried about De'Ami Brown cutting into his target share?
Is he in Jacksonville yet?
Yeah, he just signed a $10 million.
1 year, $10 million.
Oh man, De'Ami Brown. That's solid. He's a solid little sneaky fantasy player that gets no love.
We can peek in on the Jags here for a second, see what they've been up to in this free agency.
Yeah, that was complete sarcasm, man.
I like it.
You just broke that news to me. I didn't even know that. So I didn't know that De'Ami was out of Washington. I was hoping for him to stay in Washington and Washington to not get another receiver and be very happy with all my cheap De'Ami Brown that I have on my rosters.
The Jags, I think, are taking a decent approach here. They've cut all the fat that was getting some money. They're coming in. He's going to reinvent this team. They went and took 3 shots on offensive linemen so far in free agency here. Whether how many of them will be good or full-time starters, we don't know. Hainsey from the Bucks, I would assume he'll be a starter for you, and then Mercari from Baltimore. Both come in, so we'll see where they fit in, and then it looks like they sign maybe another tackle here at some point. But they're gonna go ahead and build an offense around what Liam Cohen wants to do and how he wants to do it, right?
For sure.
And so the first things first is at least taking shots on patching up this offensive line, because that's the main. We got to be able to keep Trevor upright for an extra second or two, and we got to be able to run the ball. Right.
Yeah, I mean, you put the Jaguars.
Hainsey, he knows from just being over there in Tampa, so he brings a guy in that he knows.
Good point.
I don't hate what they're doing. They brought in 2. They brought in Munt and Hunter Long, like whatever. That's it. Cheap tight ends. We'll see. We'll see if they take. I mean, we know Strange is going to be there, but they brought in some other parts and pieces there. Nick Mullins, backup quarterback. So I don't hate it. And then they brought in, I think, Jordan Lewis, nickel corner, right? Good player.
Yeah. Guys.
What?
Najee Harris just signed with the Chargers.
Did he do it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just
Schefter just broke it.
Just getting the text from Shefty. He's,
Yeah.
Yep, can confirm.
Confirmed.
So, Najee out there to the guys drafting, to the Chargers. See if that gives Najee a little extra.
Give him a little juice.
Give him a little juice here. But hey, I saw this going around before we got here, right? That this is really close and a possibility, and people talking shit about Najee as they always do. But this is a hand in glove fit for exactly what Harbs and Roman want to do. They want a back like this in their system, just always hands down. And this is the best back like that Roman's probably had, right?
Sure, and it doesn't keep them at all from grabbing another one in the
not
draft.
even a little bit.
Not even a little bit.
I don't know what the numbers are.
It's just a 1-year deal, right?
Is it? What's the number? Do you know?
9.25, 9.25.
Sure.
Good for Najee.
Yeah.
Sure. And I think I've been a big backer in Najee. Is he sexy? No. I mean, has everything in Pittsburgh been perfect for him? No. But he's produced. He's an NFL. He's a professional, right? And I think this is a nice fit for the Chargers. So, he was like maybe 13th-ish round. I don't have the ADP pulled up right now, but I think this might give him a little extra juice here. I think he could be in that, move around or so from that.
I think this is a definitive sell window for me.
Sure.
Like, hey, he's got value. Please come give me a second and you can have him.
Yeah,
any second.
I could ship him off for a 2. I guess maybe a little less than that. You might hang on to him for a TD upside. He could easily be a 12 touchdown type running back in that offense this year. He
100%.
He could easily get 4 touchdowns, but things can align, and sometimes they do for the right running back on the right team. He could have a Jamal Williams type season over here and get 15 touchdowns and be startable every week as your RB2 if you're hurting. But he's also, but I have no problem trading for a 2 if he's on a team of yours you need to move him.
This is the Chargers last year. It was like 463 rushes, 1,800 yards, 17 touchdowns. So he's walking into that, and it's going to be his backfield, right? So, we're assuming they're going to add something in the draft, but what does that capital look like? It's certainly not going to be day one, right now, and
you wouldn't think so, but it could be.
It could be, but either way, they probably should. Well, they need to bring in the Lightning to his Thunder, and that Lightning might not necessarily be. It is probably not going to be a packaged up goal line back, and I imagine that we all assume that offense takes another step. Second year of the Harbaugh era, Justin Herbert coming in healthy. It's hopefully, et cetera, et cetera. I think that he could be in a goal line package position to score a lot of touchdowns and. And I mean, if they go and grab a, Judkins or better, now all of a sudden I hope you would have got that second round pick for Najee when you had a chance, A Travion Henderson, Travion's probably not going to be sitting there taking goal line work away from Najee year 1 as a rookie,
right?
Still got your, RB2 Hail Mary touchdown upside for Najee. But, yeah, there's definitely more sell window today than there was 20 minutes ago.
Right. It's a beautiful situation where, if they do something like that's funny.
Got to.
Sorry, I'm a child. Like if they decide to do something like go get Travion, you've got a situation where it could be like Thomas Jones and Jamal Charles back in the day where you get 12 or 1,300 yards from scrimmage from Jamal Charles, but you only get like 6 touchdowns. You get 900 or 1,000 yards from scrimmage for Najee, but you get like 13 or 14 touchdowns. So I think that, they've got the O-line in place. Like, that they're going to add something or someone to the backfield. I don't know what that capital is now.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't even have to be electric capital to bring a quality back in. Obviously, we got
they could still take Dylan Sampson in the 3rd round.
Exactly.
And
that's exactly who I had in mind.
But they could take him in the 4th round.
Right.
Just because there's so many
take
backs.
RJ Harvey in the 4th round.
Mm-hmm.
And, then it's it's just there's some options. They could take Brashard Smith in the 4th round.
Chev Dewar.
Buddy, there's no need for us to get into the cement aisle on a live mock draft. We don't have to do it.
Dude.
We don't got to do it.
You do not want to go down the cement aisle with Chef.
Yeah, you started talking about Quinshawn, and I was like, fuck, where are my power tools at? I have to build something right now.
Fucking table lifted up off the ground.
Yeah, I gotta build some shit. Fucking watch Quinshawn Judkins run and tell me you don't want to just start like building a railroad or some shit.
Building an erection. Back to the mock.
Building an erection.
Doing some.
Yeah, it's a 3 parts of Jenga. Honestly, my erections work like a Jenga puzzle piece, like the whole game.
Yeah, you Quinshawn Judkins,
not the white floor.
Man stuff.
Not the white floor.
Anything interesting in the mock so far that's really sticking out to you? Herbert went early 2-1, Caleb 2-5, Genty 2-7, JSN 2-12. So no DK, and wasn't much room for JSN to move up, but he moved up a slot or 3 there in this particular mock. What'd you say, Chev?
I feel like the DK news is gonna take a while. We're gonna have to figure out. Like I just saw the rumor that Aaron Rodgers is close to signing with the Steelers, and if that happens, then we're going wheels up for DK, in my opinion. Either one, him or Russ. They go to the Steelers, which I said I didn't want Aaron Rodgers to the Steelers just because it wouldn't be fun to watch. Because if they suck, it's gonna be it'd be real sad for me because I love Aaron Rodgers. But if he goes, like that's gonna steam DK up quite a bit. Right, like you just need the picture to be clear about who the quarterback is in Pittsburgh for that capital, for George and DK, for that capital to skyrocket, in my opinion.
Yeah, right now, I like the move for Pittsburgh. You just got to figure out who the quarterback is. They traded for Kenny Pickett today, so he's the floor play for Pittsburgh.
He went to the Browns.
Or sorry, yeah, he went to the Browns. You're right. So if he's the floor play for the Browns, if things don't go well for Cleveland, they can always start Kenny Pickett. But
boy, what a colossal FU to fans, making them watch Kenny Pickett for 17 Sundays.
Hey, if you got to get through a season, Kenny Pickett's your guy.
Boy, and lots of beer,
lots
and lots of beer,
lots of gloves. But I don't think Russ can go there and handle Pickett and DK. I don't think that's a fit. Like
no.
You need, like, I feel like you got to have somebody like Aaron Rodgers come in there with that personality to be able to kind of handle that situation. I don't know. I think at first glance I was kind of was like, Aaron Rodgers of Pittsburgh could make some sense, but doesn't really fit from like the team and the Steelers and the aura, but it might actually be a great fit for one another to go like, hey, he's going to go with Tomlin. Rodgers, good back half of his Jets there for the last few weeks, but didn't go particularly well overall, right? Whether it was injury or play or, narratives and stories and, all that stuff. So now you go to Pittsburgh, things could be a little quieter for you. And, if things are going well, it'll be beloved, right?
For sure. I mean, obviously, I think Aaron Rodgers just got some nice humble pie. He did finish the 3 or 4 weeks there very strong, probably just because he ran a couple times and decided his foot didn't blow off, and he was like, okay, I can really try to play some football now. But, I agree. I don't think DK and Pickens is a good combination for Russell Wilson. You don't need that fall flat on your face rah guy. Like, come on guys, we're in it. I don't neither one of those two receivers need Russell Wilson.
DK already had it. He's like, I'm good.
And Pickens had it too. And for the first 3 games with Russell Wilson, Pickens was, wheels up, and then it came crashing down because the defense were like, okay, this is what Russell Wilson's doing here, and let's go double team Pickens over here. And then Russell Wilson fell on his face too. And I think the combination of, there's all those memes out there people putting together of Pickens.
Oh, those are fantastic.
I mean, no set of D-backs wants to play against the Steelers wide receivers, obviously, but there's going to be a lot of jawing back and forth, and if the Steelers don't have a quarterback that can get the ball, I think the defensive backs are going to have the last laugh because those wide receivers are just going to lose it. if you don't have a leader.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Right. And
Oh,
somebody
we're-
feeding
we're-
them.
That's what. Yeah, I mean, obviously, Tomlin is one of the best leaders in sport. It just when you get out there on the field, Tomlin can't do nothing anymore. You got to have the quarterback that you got to be able to get the ball out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they have to have. The more that you guys have talked about it, the more it does kind of make sense. But it just, I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is in a place to be coached like that. I hope that he is. Like I said, he's my personal favorite quarterback ever. You know, in spite of whatever he is off the field, like he's my favorite quarterback to watch. So I hope that it works, but I don't know. I mean, I know that the Giants are apparently still in play for him, and the Titans want Russ. So I don't want any parts of. I'm trying to keep Russ as far away from the Titans as humanly possible.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of projection going on here, guys.
Even when those options, like if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I want
It's the Steelers.
It's the Steelers. It's not even close.
Yeah.
You can keep on going with options, but
Once you landed DK, the Steelers became extremely attractive to him, I'm sure.
exactly.
Had to have.
New York
Yeah, of
Giants.
course.
No
Yeah.
thanks.
Yeah, I'm
for
good.
for Aaron Rodgers.
I think Rodgers and Dayball might be a better combination of because a little more offensive minded. So they might have some, but I think the Tomlin Rodgers thing could work because there's some mutual respect there. And hey, we can go in here and we can be about business, when we get out here on the field to work.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with everything that you guys said. I'm trying to keep in my nightmares. I don't want to listen to Russell Wilson make up.
Nobody wants Russell Wilson.
I don't understand why anybody would want Russell Wilson right now.
Nobody wants Russell Wilson.
I'm all set, man.
Yeah.
That guy wears me out. I'm not even around him every day.
That's what I'm saying.
So
I
don't know where Russell land, but we're running out of spots, right? it's Tennessee or the Giants, Cleveland.
You got
Cleveland
the
ain't
Browns,
doing it.
the Giants.
No way.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way Cleveland does it. And you got the Titans and the Steelers. Those are the 4 spots. So it's either one of those 4 or go be a backup.
If New York doesn't land Aaron Rodgers, though, it could put the Giants in a situation where it's better for your Titans if you want a quarterback, you got to trade up to get one.
Just that also would mean that I would have to watch Will Levis again. So
whatever. Sometimes you got to just take a season off and just be like, all right.
Yeah, which one of these teams are going to be like, all right, let's have the best pick in the draft next year? Yeah. I know it's hard to sell it to the fans and sell it to the locker room, but somebody's got to.
On paper, it looks like it's a layup for the Titans. No offense. I've been there. I was a Niners fan for been a long time, and there was some seasons there where it was dark. It was
dark
rough
before Harbaugh got there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Can't win with them.
Can't do it.
Can't do it.
Won't do it.
Won't do it. All right. So one of the other quarterback things that have dried up, and we'll go back to DK because I'm interested to see what your guys' value is on him at some point. But Fields goes to the Jets, right? Signs a 2-year, $40 million deal. If you're Justin Fields, how do you?
If Justin Fields, you're happy you get a chance. My man just got $20 million guaranteed.
Right.
Good for him.
Right.
Good for him. He was 5-2 last year, got benched to see what Russell Wilson could do. Now, 2 of those games, I was looking at his, fantasy output the other day, and 2 of those games were not great, and 3 of those games were solid for fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's easy to not be great fantasy-wise when you're just running it. Well, Arthur Smith, especially that first couple weeks, Tomlin was like, hey, this is exactly what we're going to do. And, it was very constrained, but they got the W's, and that was what was supposed to matter. And then I understand why they made the swap because the first couple weeks it looked good, and Russell Wilson swap looked good. But when it started looking bad, you should have just put him back in there. But I think like I said, I'm happy for Justin Wilson to get his $20 million guaranteed.
It did also feel in that time that the Fields thing got a little stale from what he was like. Teams were like, all right, this is what he's capable of doing. We can shut this down. And now being in that division with the teams that they have to get through, like the switch to Russ, I feel like was warranted in that situation.
Especially in the AFC.
Like, Fields, I think, can operate an offense and win, and I have no hard feelings towards Fields. My sentiment was, if you're Fields yourself, did you just sign your death certificate going to the Jets for another contract?
Well,
or what do we think there?
I don't think it.
Got to take your $20 million when you can get it.
Of course, but
Yeah, get paid, young man, get paid, to quote the great philosophizer Young Dolph. I think that this was great for him because of the fact that you're going to get a real opportunity to start.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no matter how you feel about how it went in Pittsburgh, they won 2 games without scoring an offensive touchdown.
Yeah.
And that's not sustainable. And that's where the whole Russ thing comes in, because he just didn't lose them the game. And then the Cowboys game, they're playing the Cowboys. That's a very winnable game, and he misses throws consistently, or he's late, or he shows you all the things that made you that got him ousted.
Got him in this position
in Chicago.
Yeah.
He put all that back on. Like, all those demons still pop back up. So we still have questions from a fantasy perspective. This is a rocket ship, boys. This is a rocket ship. You're talking about a guy that's got top 5 upside, top 2 rushing upside at the position. And I mean, he averaged 50 yards a game in the 4 years, 4 seasons in Chicago, or excuse me, 3 seasons in Chicago and 1 this past season. And he had a quarterback 1 finish, I believe, this past season. So you see flashes of it, but he's never had, well, in Chicago, he never had the opportunity to come out and like have just a normal ecosystem of support around him. The offensive line was dog shit. Then Montgomery's in and out of the lineup. He's hurt. Then Darnell Mooney is your best wide receiver, and that's a recipe for a disaster. And then you can't quite figure it out with Cole Kmet all the time. Then you get DJ Moore, and that's cool. That's great. You lead DJ Moore to his highest finish, a wide receiver 6 ever. And then, but it doesn't. They're like, hey, we got to move on from you because we can get a guy that we think can do all those things and actually lead us to victories. So I think this is going to be, from a fantasy perspective, it's going to be great. But there's a deep chasm between like him as a real NFL quarterback and him as a fantasy quarterback, because I think he's instantly like a top 12 guy.
No doubt. Well, that was Casey's, situation for the last couple of years, talking about him as a fantasy asset, just saying, hey, we know that when he's on the field, he's going to score fantasy points, but I don't know if he's going to be able to stay on the field very long because he's not a great quarterback yet. And we'll see what type of system the Jets can put around him. Obviously he's got Garrett Wilson. That'll probably be the best professional wide receiver he's ever played with.
Yes, sir.
He's got a great running back, probably the best running back he's ever played with, unless I'm missing something. But I think obviously.
I mean, he did have David Montgomery.
Well, yeah, but Brees Hall puts stress on people, and so does if the guy trying to tackle David Montgomery is stressed. But outside of that, it'll be interesting to see what type of offense the Jets come out there with, because they just had the Aaron Rodgers project, which is basically bring me Allen Lazard. I think Randall Cobb even showed up for a minute.
Sure,
he got the band back together, and Davante came in there and got his 1 million targets a game once he got his feet under him in New York. So that whole thing is gone. All of Aaron Rodgers' buddies are gone. And it's like, all right, what kind of system are we going to put around this run-first quarterback? I think they got a better chance to win games this year than they had last year, but that doesn't mean and that's the problem with Justin Fields, is he can win you a game and still look terrible being a quarterback.
Absolutely. So they've got Tanner Engstrand, the former Detroit Lions passing game coordinator and tight ends coach. I don't know very much about him, but it feels like it's going to be more middle of the field, like short dump off passes centric, than it would be him taking deep shots down the field to Garrett Wilson. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know shit about Tanner Engstrand, but
I'm pretty sure I got
I'm hoping
car insurance policy from him last week.
Like, I don't know what this looks like. I mean, they started to put the pieces in place with the the offensive line. They've got Elijah Vera Tucker. They've got the Olu Fashanu, the guy from Penn State last year. They've got the makings of something that could be good. And if Aaron Glenn takes anything from Dan Campbell, it's like, we're gonna build this shit in the trenches and then try to figure out, just how to minimize the mistakes that our quarterback can make. I'm hoping that's the route that they take.
Yeah, if I'm them, I don't try to come in here and fix Justin Fields. I just play to Justin Fields' strengths. Well, I think some of what the Pittsburgh Steelers were trying to do last year, but weren't fully taking the reins off of saying, hey, kind of just do you, and obviously run some stuff that's intuitive for him. But that's what I would. I'd let him run around, throw it around, dump it to Brees. Hey, we got it. Corley, I don't know if he'll be in the mix or not, but Corley's certainly a guy who can play close to the line of scrimmage and get balls to.
Sure.
And kind of run around. And then you have Garrett Wilson, who's, your real primary wide receiver who at the first thing you're like, damn, I'm not so sure I love that for Garrett Wilson at this particular juncture. But it could just be such a high volume of targets that it just forces Garrett Wilson into, good territory. If you get the ball to Garrett Wilson, it's going to be a good result typically.
Well, like Chev said, you remember what he did for
DJ Moore.
DJ Moore based on targets alone, and obviously they went to college together. So there's hopefully some type of friendship, brotherhood. On the best case scenario, them boys are ready to rock and targets. So
I mean, yeah, that's the kind of the narrative that's playing in my head is like, this is a guy that they have familiarity with each other, and you saw him, save for a couple games where he was out, and what's his face, Tyson Bagent stepped in. I mean, they got him 100. They got DJ Moore 164 targets. Garrett Wilson was on that similar pace before Davante Adams showed up. He was actually on pace for like 200 targets before Davante Adams showed up, and they're going to be looking to figure out whether or not they're going to give him a mega deal. So, yeah, I'm really excited for Garrett Wilson because we know that he can get the ball to a guy like that.
All right. I don't know if I'm real excited, but I'm excited enough. I'm more excited than my initial snapshot for Garrett Wilson. I thought I was about to have to be bummed. We'll see. I just don't know. I like you. I don't know what to expect from this offense. I don't even have a guess at how they're going to be trying to do things because I don't really have anything to go off of. I like the idea of Dorsey and culture and what he's going to try to employ there. I like the way he goes about his business. He's very business-like when you hear him talk. So I like that. But then he also, you see the stuff where, seems very nurturing as well. So he's kind of got that tough exterior, nice interior. It seems like going to guys' houses and watching film with them, shit like that. I've heard some good stories about Dorsey, and obviously he's made a great impression on the rest of the community, and he's gotten himself a head coach job. So I hope this works out for him. And obviously he's got ties to the Jets, played there. Or Aaron Glenn. Sorry, I was calling him Dorsey. Sorry.
He's got a good interior. No hetero.
Well, yeah. If you're a Jets fan and you're not, there's a 5-minute interview out there with Aaron Glenn, and it'll make you an Aaron Glenn fan real fast.
Yeah.
Talking about his process, how he got there, had to go be an area scout. He had, called up his mentor and said, "Hey, I want to be a coach, this and that." And then all of a sudden they were like, "Well, you got to go start from the bottom." And he took it out and ran with it. So, I mean, I became an Aaron Glenn fan after that. When it first surfaced, I was like, he's our defensive I got a Lions shirt on. He's the Lions defensive coordinator. Why is everybody talking about it as a head coach and candidate? And that happens with teams that do well, and then these head coaches fizzle out sometimes that were, coordinator faces. But you watch that video and you're like, that dude's got a chance. Got to be a chance to be a good coach.
You know that they're gonna be built the right way, like the right stuff as a leadership group, bringing men to, success, or however they're going to go about it. Their process is going to be, we're going to be a bunch of dudes that are going to bite your kneecaps off to steal from his head coach, his former head coach.
Yeah. All right. So is this a similar situation to the Najee? You're going to take the value and get out on fields if you can in most situations?
I'm not strong enough. I'll be honest with you. I love Justin Fields way too much.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you're about to have a Superflex starter that's worth, even in one quarterback league now. Do
you let him play first if you want to sell him, or do you try to sell him now?
Get rid of him.
Let him throw a couple QB1 performances out there, like where he rushes for 60 yards, and if you want to sell him, you'll be able to get multiple firsts to do so.
Multiple firsts is a stretch.
You don't think so?
Sell them like the ads that come on the Dynasty Daddy trade.
You can get a late first now that you couldn't get for the last 12 months. You could definitely probably get a late first round pick in it. In the next couple months, you got to have. There's not any. Maybe Cam Ward potentially should. I don't think there's 2 max quarterbacks that are going to be drafted to fill a starting spot week 1.
Yeah.
Justin Fields is going to be a starter, and unless something crazy happens on draft day, I think that's probably a pretty safe bet for a couple of weeks into the season towards the full year. I mean, I think he's getting the year. Exactly. I mean, he said the report came out that he wasn't going to go to Pittsburgh unless they said you're the starter. Mm-hmm. So I imagine the same conversation had with New York Jets. Maybe they were like, we're going to treat you however we want to treat you. You want this $20 million or not? And he's like, yo, I'll take that $20 million and we'll figure it out later. But I imagine, they gave him $20 million so he can be a starter for a little bit. I don't have a problem selling him. I don't think you're going to just get that snap, trade done tomorrow. I think you got to let it sit for a little bit and people to, kind of digest it and figure out, okay, he's a starting quarterback. When he does start, here's his points per game type. Like you said, Chevy gets 50 rushing yards a game and at least a rushing touchdown every other. And the games that he gets 2 rushing touchdowns is when he gets 34 points. And he's the QB1 on the week.
Well, that's the push and pull.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Of him right now is because when he goes out there that the floor is going to be good and the ceiling is awesome, right? Yeah. But if they don't,
the floor is not that great. The floor is a plastic floor that's been sitting in the sun for a little while.
The floor is he's a backup again next year. Is the actual floor,
right?
Exactly. And so that now we're just on our third stop. This is just. If
this
it doesn't
exactly
go
how
well,
you said it would happen 3 years ago,
right? And so you're in a dichotomy because if you have a bad team, sell Justin Fields right now, of course, right? Get what you can. If you have a good team and he's your 3, I guess you should probably say sell right now. But if you got a good team and your 2's kind of a little wonky, it's hard to sell him because you know what he can give you. But the right move probably is to sell him. But cash is king.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I said what I said. Like if you sell him right now, I don't think you're selling at the highest point. If he comes out week 1 and week 2 and it's like 200 for 200 and touchdown, 60 rushing and another touchdown, and he's QB4 and he does that again, it's like, well, I probably can get more for him now than I could before the season started.
There's also a chance
if it goes bad.
Yeah.
Did you say for sure?
You wish that you sold in August. In April.
I'll take the late first now and give up the chance to get a mid first later because my late first turns back into a late 2, or 2 3s when it goes. Like this, literally the situation that Casey talked about. Like now, this is third stop. So if it comes out there, and when the schedule comes out, that'll tell us a lot about his early season value. When the schedule comes out, if he's got the Ravens and the Chargers in the first 2 weeks, that's not the best situation. Obviously I'm just talking, just far as like what do we think the Chargers are going to bring to the table as far as coaching staff defensively. It's if he pops up with 2 bad defenses to face for a quarterback, that's not the best. But he pops up and he plays against, whatever, Patriots defense of last year kind of thing. Some guys that the coaches are going to call weak.
Yeah, dude, you can say the Titans, bro. It's fine.
Okay, face to face. Since you're on the screen with me, I didn't want to say Titans, but if you want to run against a team that's going to be called soft after the game by their coach, that's who you're trying to play against.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think that you are absolutely correct that it might be the plus EV move to just go ahead and get off now if you can. I think that if you are holding rose-colored glasses like I am with Justin Fields, you wanted to get off to a great start and then maximize that count. Like, I think it easily turns into a first plus.
I think a first
maybe
plus.
I got a little too.
Double,
I just
double first is a lot.
Double first is a lot. I got a little too excited. We get talking about Justin Fields.
Yeah,
I mean that is. Yeah, I start thinking about like, man, he had 1,200 yards rushing at one time, and like he was quarterback 4 and all the good stuff, and I just completely forget about how many times he just bricked my fucking lineup. So I think that the potential is there if he's going to be the full-time guy for 2025, barring injury. I think that you could squeeze a lot more value out of that if he just comes out and plays well in the first couple weeks. People will do exactly what I'm doing right now. They'll just do it 6 months from now.
Yeah, I agree. I want to take that if out of it.
Shedeur goes to the Giants. You want Shedeur or Fields? Because that's a realistic trade you can make. Shedeur is going to be 110, 109, 111, 112.
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather do the whole re-roll, as the kids say, or take Fields?
Can I get the draft pick that we used to get Shador in the rookie draft?
I mean, you could. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know.
So you're not confident in Shador, I guess.
I can be. I don't hate him going to the Giants either. It seems very, very likely at this point.
I mean, him with Malik is very intriguing to me. So I would at that point, you've got, you would have basically locked in at bare minimum 3 years of a starter, right? So I would have to go with Shador at that point because I mean you've only got 1 year essentially of Justin Fields guaranteed to be the starter.
Yeah, I think I'm probably with you there.
Yeah,
for that move. All right, let's shift gears probably to some less popular stuff a little bit. I don't know if there's anything in the mock you want to touch on here, but Aaron Jones goes back to the Vikings. Not good for Aaron Jones.
Yeah, he actually just got taken in the 11th round of the mock, late 11th round. That's really good. Punt my running back, or either maybe just at a minimum, that's good running back depth. In this scenario, in this practice here, this third team took Lamar Jackson, C.J. Stroud, 4 straight wide receivers, and filled in some older running backs. But the third one being Aaron Jones in the 11th round. That's good points. I mean, we know that Aaron Jones is going to score points next year for Minnesota. There's no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but
that's
not
big
a huge
time
needle
value
mover, right? But I think it's a good move for the Vikings, and you can draft a running back, right? But you don't have to draft one in the first or second round if you don't want to.
Yeah, week 1 last year, he had 18.9, 10 points, 25, 17, 6.
Wow, he was fantastic.
Bye week 20, 11, 12, 12, 5, 19, 10, 16, 18, 12, 12, 12. 11th round. I mean, he's 30 years old, not getting a day younger as we go, but 11th round Aaron Jones, you could do worse.
Yeah, I mean, that's, if he's going to stay healthy and play 15 games, you're a lock for 1,000 yards on really good efficiency, like 4.5 probably at bare minimum. And he's going to catch 25 to 30 passes. So,
maybe more
it gives you, say it again.
I said, yeah, maybe even more catches.
So many, like 50 almost every year. Look at this.
Yeah, I went conservative. I went conservative.
50,
I said
30,
25
59,
to 30.
52, 47, 49. Stud.
Mm-hmm.
Like that type of value. I mean, but you can't sell it for anything.
Exactly.
He's just got to die on your roster at that point.
Yeah.
I like points.
After the NFL draft, he's probably even going to be farther down than this because once we get once we get these rookie running backs into place and they get higher and higher in the ADP. See, right now, even our degenerates that are in here doing mocks with us right now on a Monday in March, even these guys have to look for these rookie running backs down in the depths of the ADP here. And so as we go on and get into real startup draft season, Aaron Jones gets farther down the list, I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And the cool thing here too is they're going to put some capital into a running back, and that guy becomes a sneaky deaky value because they're like Aaron Jones is going to be the guy. So you're not going to have to spend whatever. Like we thought about Caleb Johnson land here. It could be Dylan Sampson. It could be Brashard Smith. It could be RJ Harvey. Those guys are going to, because Aaron Jones has that contract security, I feel like those guys are going to slide in rookie mock drafts now a little bit, or rookie drafts when they happen a little bit more too.
Yeah, just like Trey Benson and Connor last year. Trey Benson got drafted above him in every
sixth, seventh round,
every single startup.
Round, yeah.
And Connor came out there and just put together another great season and got a contract extension, further putting Trey Benson on the bench, being like, hang on, young boy, wait, I ain't done yet. So Aaron Jones could do the same thing again.
Yeah. Yeah. So, still a nice pick for people. Vikings feel pretty good. We hope McCarthy can go out there and execute. But even if he can't execute at the highest level, the run game should still be able to operate at a decent level. So
it has to, because even if your quarterback is inconsistent to start, you still got Justin Jefferson and Hawkinson and Addison out there. You got weapons that the defense has to.
Right.
Anybody throwing the ball makes Justin Jefferson's just a threat.
Yeah.
And you have to give space. You cannot load the box against that receiving core, no matter how bad the quarterback's playing. And we don't assume him to be bad, but even if he's not an upper level, he's still going to get production.
Yeah. So we talked about Najee when the deal came through, but some other running backs, not a whole lot to note. Elijah Mitchell goes to Kansas City. making a really interesting late round pick. If Elijah Mitchell's healthy, he's probably still a Niner, right? Because he was excellent when he would get his chances, right? I didn't think when CMC came in they used Mitchell enough, right? They should have gave him some breather because they were a nice 1-2 combo. So this is real interesting for the Chiefs. He's a dynamic player if he's right. He's real fast, got some speed, just been Mr. Glass, as they say.
CJ Procise.
So yeah, we'll see. Well, he's done a little more than Procise at least.
Don't get me started on CJ Procise. CJ Procise was about to be my Arian Foster, and it looked so good for a minute. Golly, CJ Procise was my.
Boy, y'all are bringing out the old guard names. That golly, I think I said that to one of my friends when I was like, CJ Procise reminds me so much of Arian Foster.
I was the first. I was the first. It didn't
It
last.
just
It
never
didn't last
happened.
long enough. It didn't get to where it needed to be, so I could brag about it because he got hurt. But golly, CJ.
He was so smooth though.
So smooth.
We got robbed of that one. Javonte Williams goes to Dallas, right? Another kind of deal where it's $3 million, $3.5 million. Could be a really good signing for Dallas, but doesn't limit them to not drafting some decent capital on a running back here and letting both of those guys kind of operate together. But Javonte could come back here, have a big bounce back, and it could be, wide open for him to get a chunk of the load here for Dallas, especially if they're like, hey, we're not going to spend any more than a third or fourth round pick on a running back at this point. Right?
I would be surprised if they didn't because of the hate that they got last year.
It would seem so, but then they.
But I would think that Jerry's gonna be like, all right, let's get a run. We're talking like we're not. We're gonna say we're the
problem is if they would have just gave Rico Dowdle the ball to start with, they would have had a running game for most of the season. Because as soon as they gave Rico Dowdle and opened it up, they had a decent running game. Like the Cowboys played okay down the stretch, man.
Yeah. This is a sell window for Javonte, and I'd take it. I'd take the sell window.
Yeah, this is the I can't get anything for Javonte. Oh, will you give me a fourth? Please.
You might could get a third.
I was going to say maybe a third is a good area to be in with this.
A third is optimal.
Hey, and I'm buying, baby.
I'm fishing through the trash looking for a fourth right now.
I'm grabbing them.
Please.
I'm just grabbing those butterflies.
Well,
I'm buying, baby.
It doesn't matter right now, but he just goes into 13th round of this mock, which is a startup, and it doesn't take into consideration really how the rookies work, but he goes ahead of Ollie Gordon and Scatabo in this mock draft right here. So that's in the mid to late second round type values of running backs.
Yeah, Gordon and Scatabo Scatabo's maybe closer to the end of the second right now. Ollie Gordon going 3.2 to 3.6 right now after the combine. So, not thirds. So you guys would take a third for Javonte right now?
Yes.
Right now, I would. I mean, if September comes around and it's just him and Rico Dowdle, he's probably worth a little bit more than a late third.
Well, Rico's a free agent, but they could resign.
Right. I mean, right now it's Javonte and Deuce Vaughn, and that's it.
And the players to be drafted in the draft.
Hunter Lipke or whatever that guy's name is.
Hunter, the fullback, the H back,
their use check,
real grinder, gym rat.
Yeah.
First guy in, last guy out.
Henry Hanoski.
Good work ethic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So
I just
still got a white floor though.
Hanoski.
That is the definition of it.
That one catch for Hanoski back in the day.
Davante Adams going to the Rams.
Huge. I'm not washed, and I didn't go to some team that can't get me the ball position for your dynasty value of Davante. Davante's about to come out there and get catches every single week from and good for the Rams to just be like, hey, we brought back Stafford, we gave him some money, and now we need to surround him. Somehow we turned our defense around in 1 year. I don't know how that happens, but they did it. And so
boys have been killing the late round,
crushing the late round draft pick. So now they got to bring in some speed, and they got to get better options around Puka, and Davante is a really good way to do it. And this
it ruins the Breakfast Club. I can tell you that.
Well, Cooper's not excited
Things
about
in
it.
Shambles.
Yeah.
Well, they're just gonna eat Taco Bell for breakfast every morning now.
At Davante's house.
Gotta live Moss.
Probably gonna go over to his house and figure it out.
Yeah, if you're Cooper Kupp right now, you're shitting. You're like, damn, them boys. I either way overplayed my hand, or they think I'm washed. Like,
and you think he's upset until he looks at his bank account and he's like, "Oh yeah, that's right. I got 60 million guaranteed a couple years ago. I'm all right."
Yeah, I mean he's all right, but I'm sure the competitor in him's like, "F you, let me go to San Fran.
Sure,
Let's see what happens."
He'll show up.
Oh, that would be nasty work.
Let's see.
That would be so nasty. I mean, is that out of the question?
I don't. Well, he's not released yet, so they're still trying to get a trade. As I think is the rub right now. So I don't think that's going to happen. But so what would be the price tag to? I mean, obviously you're probably not trying to acquire Davante Adams right now on your dynasty team as like a straight up buy at this point in the season. But what would be the acquisition price or sell price? Would you sell for a 2?
A random 2? No, I don't want to do that. I'm
Depends
holding,
on the state of your team, of course.
Even if you got a terrible team, I'm still holding Davante Adams until in season, and you find somebody that wants to win a championship with him. If I got if I had a team that's been in the playoffs through 2 or 3 years in a row, and I'm set to go back, I'll give you a 2 for him and get the next 2 years worth of catches from him because he's not washed. He was crushing down the stretch, and there was a couple games where I was playing against him, and I was like, when is the defense going to be able to keep up with this man? And that's something that was a problem 5 years ago. It's not supposed to be a problem when you're 32 years old, but it was because you cannot guard the man, you know? And I just think that it's a big time comeback.
Seems like he's got at least one more strong run in him here for at least a year.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, obviously, that's a good point. He's in there. He's got a 2-year deal with a 26 million guaranteed, so that's good for him. But and we assume, and the same thing for Stafford, just signed up for 2 more years, assuming Stafford plays that second year. But this year on a legit look yourself in the mirror, my team is a favorite to go to the championship game. Anything can happen. It's a long season, but I'm in the top 3 as far as the depth chart of this league, and I got a top 3 team in this league. I wouldn't mind picking up some Davante Adams. And, of course, I'd rather do it with 3 threes or something like that, get cute, and start giving away the cheaper draft assets, but that's just me.
Like, if you could move Leggett right now for Davante Adams.
I'd do it.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah. I just pick somebody who might have a bottom half 2
it's good,
price tag.
It's a good trade.
All right. That's
a smash.
Did you have anything to add, Chev, before I jump to the next guy?
Well, no, I mean, I think that this was the perfect. This is hitting river, in poker for Davante Adams. You get a little bit of money. You go to a team that's going to win, and you get a quarterback that is going to hyper target you if you're out there on the field. I mean, we've seen what Matthew Stafford what Matthew Stafford's done for Cooper Kupp. We saw what he did for Calvin Johnson. Obviously, Calvin Johnson's a freak, but you saw what he led Puka to with Cooper Kupp starting off 2023 injured. So that this guy's going to get hyper targeted, and he's got the type of game to where you don't really have to worry about, is he going to lose a step? Is he not going to be able? He's a route running savant. He understands what they're going to be able to take, what they're trying to take away, and he does exactly the thing that threatens the defensive back the most. So I think that this was a home run landing spot, and I wouldn't want to give up an early 2, but a mid to back end 2, yes.
Yeah. What does this affect? Are you guys worried about Puka's value? Do you move him down a tier at all? Or is this everyone?
No,
we're still cool with
value.
Puka.
I mean,
yes.
Puka's 23. So I think he far outlives the situation right here. But also, to some extent, Stafford and the Rams were still throwing the ball 88 times a game to Puka. But when the ball got there was always 3 guys there ready to pile drive him because there was nobody else on the Rams offense they had to pay attention to. So at least with Davante, you might have Puka catching balls here and not get triple teamed off somebody off the top rope every time he catches it, right? At least I think he'll see even.
Oh my God, it's a leg drop.
Even defenses, I think Davante is perfect. Now, it probably will keep Puka from having 17 targets a game, and therefore he probably won't have too many, I caught 14 balls this game. But maybe that gives him a chance to stay healthy and play all the games and and do just fine. And maybe and have a chance to learn from an absolute elite thinker at the position and ability to operate man-to-man, zone, whatever, you know.
Boy, we got that release package. That's
that
insane.
release package. Just, you know, so like I think Puka could learn a lot from him, and I think it's a good thing for Puka. I definitely brings his ceiling down a little bit just because he won't get as many targets. But if that means I get 16 games out of Puka instead of 12, I'll take it.
Yeah, and some of that could be offset by, you know, like you said, touchdowns or a longer score here and there. So, you know, sometimes you can.
But also maybe keeps the chains moving. Like
right,
if
right.
like
Keeps you, yeah, right. All of the
both
above.
of these cats probably go for more than 1,000 yards, and they could both get double-digit touchdowns.
Yeah,
let's
agree.
roll. Let's roll.
Chev?
No, man, I wholeheartedly agree. Y'all said everything that I was waiting to say, so we don't have to beat a dead horse. I am in total agreement with that.
Unless you got somebody awesome to talk about, can we get to the Bears moves?
Say what you need to say. Yeah, I was gonna. I had one more sneaky,
What you got?
decent signing, and I know nobody's really gonna care, so I'll just throw it in here. But I liked Josh Palmer to the Bills.
Okay.
Yes. All right, cool. I can talk about that if you want me to.
Yeah, for a second, and then we'll cue up the Bears. And I talk about the Patriots on the way out.
I've been a big Josh Palmer fan. You know, I think that he's a guy that you've waited for that promise to come through. Like you saw that there's flashes, right, where he's giving you like, oh, I could be more than just a wide receiver, a weekly wide receiver 3. And then last year we thought that was the opportunity, and Ladd McConkey's just fucking incredible. So it doesn't work out that way either. And, you know, Greg Roman was only letting him throw the ball like 18 times a game in the first few games. So I think that this is another super run heavy offense, but the target share could crystallize to where he's either second or third in the pecking order behind Khalil Shakir, who's going to be the primary target in this offense. That's just how Josh Allen and Joe Brady want to work it. And then whatever we're going to make a Dalton Kincaid, but behind those two, there could be a role for Josh Palmer, or Josh Palmer and Dalton Kincaid could compete for targets. So, you know, out of those 480 attempts or whatever Josh Allen had, I mean, could he get a 21 to 22% target share? And what does that look like?
Yeah, right. Well, it's just the question with that. What's that offense look like in further versions down the line? Because it was a weird offense to be a part of. Just as a whole for the Bills, I think I like it. They seem to be wanting to play nondescript football, essentially. And I feel like Josh Palmer is just a solid player to add to this team where they were just, you know, void of, I think, some solid players in the wide receiver room where he doesn't move the needle for anybody, but he's really cheap. And like we pointed out, like I went back, I don't remember what show it was, but some show in season last year, I talked about Josh Palmer, maybe on a mustache. But like when you just go back and you look at his game log, it's like there's some fucking good games in here, man. And like bunch of multiple high catch level games and hundreds of yards and touchdowns. And like he had some efficient games and had some shine for a second, and then he was injured and just everything switched up on the Chargers. So I think this is good movement for him, and I think it's a good signing for Buffalo. I don't know if it'll mean anything for fantasy, but late deep stash is Josh Palmer could come out there and turn some heads potentially.
Exactly. Quickly, we've seen Palmer do it. Like you said, Chev, he's a sneaky good receiver, and I think the Bills decided last year, halfway through the season, they came in not enough tools in the bag, and you know, Keon Coleman hurt his wrist, and now next thing you know, you're looking down the list of who's going to come out here and catch passes. I think it's a good move NFL wise to help the Bills to be prepared to win games and to try to make try to make a first title run. And fantasy wise, like why not stack up somebody really, really late that you know that you've seen do well when other players' injuries put him into a spotlight, you know, for him to become Herbert's WR1 a couple years back and do work for a couple weeks. Like we've seen him do work, and now he's with Josh Allen. Like he's not going to cost you anything in the startup or even picking him up as a throw-in in a trade right now. Why not get pass catchers of Josh Allen, because he really doesn't have anybody commanding targets. I don't know if Amari Cooper's still there. Obviously Dalton Kincaid, I expect him to come back and do things, but he's not going to be, 125 type catch guy. Apparently not. He might get, he got 77 as a rookie, so hopefully he can get 85 next year. But I think Palmer's a really good add for the Bills, and he'd be great depth, as Casey's saying, good stash player for your fantasy team.
All right, let's shoot over to the Bills or Bears real quick. And I'm assuming that you wanted to just talk about some lineman action here.
Well, they picked up a couple linemen last week, and you know, in the trades, and that was kind of made headlines. So they
trade for Thuney.
Yeah, Thuney.
And then they trade for Jonah Jackson. We had mentioned that on one of the shows here at some point.
So they made those deals, and then they go out and get the Falcons center today, and then they go and pay good money for a defensive lineman. And just, you know, I think the sleeper headline was like, hey, these guys are making moves. Well, you know, that third, like, the trades that they made were very solid, like, cheap NFL trades. That's there's a lot of good players that get traded in the NFL for like 6-round picks, and we just saw that with some of these additions to the Bears offensive line. But then to go out and get the Falcons center today, who is supposedly like he's getting he's the second highest paid center in the league. So I'm not familiar with how good he is, but he must be really, really good. So that just another layer of a new addition for the Bears offense. Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams, what they're bowling up something over there, and they just, you know, whether or not they go ahead and grab Genty early in the first round is the conversation, but it's good for them for doing more than bringing in this has got to be a conversation that Ben Johnson had to have before he signed the papers.
Yeah.
Let me see.
100%.
You're not just going to pay me. I want to win. I don't want to leave a team who can go and win a Super Bowl next year to come over here and just get paid. I want you to see what are we going to do to
I'm
make
going to win,
it
and
work.
here's my blueprint. This is what we're going to try to do. And I think you even then go take another lineman in your first round here and just see what you just came from a place that just revamped their whole history off of an offensive line.
Yeah.
And you got paid and got a job because of what that offensive line can offer an elite mind of drawing plays up in the dirt, right?
And you show up with DJ Moore and Roman Dunzak.
Right. You know.
And Cole Kmet. You show up with players.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
And some good defensive players, some young when they rebuilt their defense to so you got a solid-ish defense.
Defense is plenty good enough.
And then here we go with the morale and the boot. Everybody's going to be bought into Chicago. Everybody's going to be bought in, and it's going to be obviously it's going to be up to Caleb to take that snap in week 1 and not make everybody look bad. But it'll be it's going to be interesting. As a Lions fan, I want them to crash and burn, but it's getting harder and harder harder and harder to believe that's going to happen.
Man, I think that what they're doing is beautiful. I mean, they're protecting the quarterback and giving him a live pocket to work in. Whereas, you know, he was just escaping the pocket too early, or, you know, stepping up into pressure. And the one thing you can't do when you're trying to throw from the pocket is have pressure come into his lap. So I think that's solidifying the guards with Jonah Jackson, Joe Thuney, and now the Falcon center. His name escapes me.
Dolman.
Plus they've got Darnell Wright. So that's 4 out of 5 positions that are solidified. And Darnell Wright's really, really good. You see Joe Thuney, the versatility he has. He kicked out to left tackle and played really well for the Chiefs in stretches. And then, I mean, obviously he got his head beat in the Super Bowl, but there was nothing they were going to be able to do about that.
Who didn't?
Joe Thuney?
Yeah,
exactly. So I think they've done everything that they can so far to solidify Caleb Williams having the confidence to step up in the pocket and deliver. And I think that's going to make a world of difference. So, yeah, I love that. And I also think that they're probably, if Will Campbell falls to 10, that's just the final infinity stone. And that's going to, it's going to get dark.
To add to that Thuney part, like the success, Thuney comes over there with rings. You know, Thuney's bringing shiny objects that you put on your finger to say this is what we need to be doing, and this is how we need to be doing it. So I really like it. I really like everything they've been doing, and you know, if the right offensive lineman is there early in the draft, good for them. But either way, it's going to be a show because now they don't necessarily have to. Yeah. Like it's not that gaping hole that it was 2 weeks ago.
Right.
right?
And Tooney doesn't score any fantasy points.
And I mean, Jay Wayne just put Tooney up. He's 32. It ain't like he's here forever, but like just bringing in that solid veteran.
Well, it seemed like you got
year after year, nothing in the PPR section.
It seemed like you kind of get a utility player here in Tooney a little bit. Like he could move around a little, like you said. So that's always positive.
A winner, leader, teacher.
Drew Dahlman, the son of Chris Dahlman from San Fran.
Okay.
Good genes, so we like that. We love a good pair of Levi's on this show. But yeah, no, attacking the trenches, man. We've been talking about it all season long. We talk about it a ton. I love it for Chicago. I love it for Caleb, and I love it for Ben Johnson. We don't know if those guys will hit or work or do anything, but I'm never going to be mad when people are taking the right approach. Obviously, you got to get the right players to fit your scheme and buy into what you're doing, and that doesn't always work out that way. But I can commend you for this, and it seemed like you volume shot here a little bit, which I like. Right, and that's why I said go get another lineman in the draft. Don't take the running back first round. Take running back second round. There's still going to be some good ones. Get yourself another O lineman and just stud this thing out. Have a good rotation. Let people get hurt, man.
Or D-line.
That'd be fine too.
Get you some pressure on the quarterback.
So that's a good segue into I like what New England's doing right now.
Who wouldn't?
What New England just put together and the transfer. It's just. I don't understand how Vrabel sat on the shelf for a year. Makes no sense to me at all.
They got super lucky.
They got so lucky here in this situation, and it was too good to be true. And then he comes right in.
Vrabel talked to the owner and Kraft, because them boys obviously go back, and he was like, "We got to give this thing. We got to let this thing play out a year. I'll see you next year."
Yeah, I guess.
I guarantee you that conversation happened.
That could make some sense.
Yeah.
But Milton Williams. Obviously, we just talked about, the Chiefs' offensive line getting absolutely smashed in the Super Bowl, and he was a big part of it. They went and paid him $100 million. That's just a stamp in what Vrabel kind of wants to do. They get the Christian Barmore back. He was injured, right? They'll get him back this year.
Well, yeah.
He's a stud. And then they went and get Harold Landry, who's very familiar with what Vrabel wants to do and how he wants to do it, right?
That's right.
And then you got Spillane, which I don't know if Spillane was there, but I know he was a Titan for a minute, right? I think 2018.
Yeah.
Spillane.
So, he started out as a special teams guy and then worked his way into being a full-time player. Yeah.
Okay. So again, got another guy that is Robert Spillane over there. Was at Pittsburgh maybe for a minute as well.
So he was with Pittsburgh. He was with the Raiders. He left Pittsburgh. He left the Titans, went to Pittsburgh. From Pittsburgh, went to the Raiders, and now he's with the Patriots.
Yeah. But again, gets a guy familiar with him, knows his game, can help cultivate the culture there. Then he goes and takes in Morgan Moses, older, offensive lineman, but very serviceable. Nice plug-and-play player in there that you can get in there to do your thing. And then, Dobbs as your backup. Like it. Now, if you want to trade Joe Milton, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Not that Dobbs makes Milton expendable, but
sure.
You know what I mean? You're getting a good veteran back there who can help the rookie and put that big mind to use in cultivating
that big mind.
Drake May's
that big mind
future. But yeah, man. And they bring in Carlton Davis, solid player.
Very solid when he's not hurt.
Right. So I like what they've done so far in free agency, just kind of revamping and bringing in the new culture of what Vrabel's going to want to try to do in New England.
Well, I mean, the big thing that you have to that you've got to pay attention to with all these teams that are spending money in the trenches is they're going to try to just beat people's ass to win football games. Mm-hmm. And that's the way you should be trying to win football games is to just break another person's will. That's how you win football games. You don't win it the way the Dolphins do all that dumb shit, like with just fast people and you can't run the ball at all. You go whoop people's ass.
Yeah.
Like one thing that stuck out in my brain, and I'm interested to see how it works out in Jacksonville, is like their defensive coordinator goes, there's a universal language. Everybody understands ass whooping. So you can put a Chinese guy and a guy from the Sahara, like just from the middle of the jungle in Africa, put them right next to each other and watch them like whooping somebody's ass and they know what's going on. So like ass whooping is a universal language. And I love seeing teams invest in the trenches and just be like, hey, we're gonna maul you
For sure.
for 60 minutes.
Over
and you're gonna blink
over again.
and over again. So I love seeing that. I love seeing shit like that. I mean, that's the brand that Detroit built. That's the brand that just won the Eagles the Super Bowl.
Exactly. Exactly.
Like why are we not more juiced about this?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, look around at the dominant teams right now, and what their brand is. The Chiefs, it was Patrick Mahomes for a minute, but that defense whooped your ass. The Eagles, look what got you back in the Super Bowl this year. The #1 defense. The Niners, the record for teams after playing the Niners after like the last 3 years is like 0-for.
Ravens too.
Ravens, right? These brands that are just like, it works.
And
it translates.
And the Rams almost beat the Eagles because their defense was whooping ass too.
Right.
See?
Right.
Yep.
And the Bills
Yep.
have tried to do it.
They rebuilt their front seven, and it was like, yeah. You guys can't, Saquon had to be special for them to win the game because they couldn't do anything else.
Yeah.
And it's the reason I've really bugged out about the Dolphins part is because that's the last 2 years against losing teams, the Dolphins kill them, and against winning teams, the Dolphins get crushed because winning teams have O lines and D lines that'll smash your face in, and losing teams don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap this one up. Anything else you guys want to touch on before we get out of here? Obviously, we had Christian Kirk in Hollywood, but we can save that for another discussion.
Nice bump for Christian Kirk.
Nice bump
Brought
for
him
Christian
back from
Kirk.
the dead.
And
that.
I mean, what a nice spot for Hollywood as well to come back for a cheap deal. I love it.
Did y'all talk about Tunsil to the Commanders?
We didn't, but I can't believe Houston traded Tunsil to the Commanders.
Golly. Awesome for Washington. What?
Yeah. What the fuck are you doing in Houston?
What are you doing? You just had your offensive line just turn into a sieve for CJ, and then
They've never liked him though.
And then you let Tunsil go. I guess they just didn't want to pay him. But like, I just literally riding over here at a stoplight, I saw like a tweet from Sharp, the efficiency for Tunsil in the last 3 years has basically been the second best offensive tackle. So unless they were like, the doctors are like, this dude's about to fall apart, we can't pay him. Like, your offensive line just got way worse in a position where you need to be getting better to help your young quarterback out. And good for the Commanders to do exactly what the Texans need to be doing. That was a terrible move for the Texans and a great move for the Commanders.
Yeah. I mean, you solidify and protect your young quarterback while he's on a rookie contract to try to win. And the Texans are like, maybe not.
Yeah. And we see he's 30. We see all the time offensive linemen can be good. 30, 31,
he can be an
32.
all-pro till he's 35, though.
But
he's got no points either.
The next 3 years, Tunsil could be an incredible piece of a just
foundational.
He's done something to that
what
organization.
Washington is doing.
They hate him.
And when he's not a Texan, golly.
Yeah.
They hate him.
The gas
It's
mask.
crazy. It's just wild to see the Commanders making like moves that make sense and are competent.
100%.
Wow.
They re-signed Wagner, so they bring back the old middle linebacker to make sure everybody's in the right spot pre-snap, and then they bring back Zach Ertz, who gets you a first down every time you need it.
Bring in Debo.
Bring in Larry Tunsil, and this is a team that just made Swiss cheese out of the Lions defense in the playoffs, and they
were very injured.
They got a lot better.
They were very injured.
Yeah, whoever the running back that lands here, I'm gonna be higher on than consensus.
It's going to be super exciting if they take a high pick running back.
So we got to wait another year on Senate?
Seems like it.
Look, we got the blueprint. We got to go a year. We got to go about 7 games, and then Zach Ertz.
A year and 7 games.
Got the outfit. He's got the elephant.
Yeah.
That's what he did with Trey McBride.
Yeah.
Trey McBride fully was incubated by the
Ertz
time.
Like to blow up.
Yeah.
No, we don't. I love you.
Like Zach Ertz is a fancy gatekeeper. He's like, hey, it says a year, but I got 7 games for you, Cliff.
Yeah.
Take it or leave it.
Yeah.
It's true.
I like it. All right. Well, that's going to conclude our live mock draft, which we didn't mock draft, but that's what we knew we were going to do tonight.
Hey, there it is, though.
We,
those teams did good.
We'll be back to our regularly scheduled mock coverage the next time we go live. It just so happened to be a lot of action here, and we wanted to hit the live action as soon as we could without having to wait to record and put it out. So it just so happened to fall.
Ricky Pearsall's up to 6'12". That's he's gained it, and then Chase Brown at 7'5" continues to be a buy when everybody says he's a sell.
Justin Fields 8'9".
My bad. Keep it going.
Justin Fields 8'9".
7, 8, 9.
There's your starter bump right there. Justin Fields a starter.
Are we looking at the mock?
go.
Doing the mock?
I'll take Chase Brown over Christian McCaffrey.
Would you?
Yeah.
Oh. You said Chase Brown at what?
At 7'5", Christian McCaffrey's going 6'7".
So a round difference.
Yeah. So does it okay. Let me ask you guys this. So does it not concern you a little bit, like the fact that Chase Brown, they could add just about anybody, and then he could be threatened for. I mean, he just doesn't have the draft capital, the investment.
Oh, it's such an
And
easy
Christian
cop
McCaffrey,
out.
no.
Oh well, you can at
It
this
is.
point. At this point, though, I don't care about the draft capital anymore. He just
Did you
went out.
watch him?
He went out and stamped that shit. He's their 1A.
Look.
Yeah.
There's no. You're not putting that genie back in the bag.
Zach Moss gets hurt. His snap percentage goes to 80 to 87 to 83 to 81 to 83 to 93 to 98 to 81, and in that stretch of games was ridiculous. And he's catching balls.
Yeah,
and
he was like the RB2 from week.
He's
week
210.
7.
He's 210 pounds. It ain't like he's a $198, and we're just hoping over here. Like
I'm not saying.
he
I'm
can
not saying that he
catch.
is. I'm just saying.
he's one of the fastest players on the field.
Also, 0% chance the Bengals could go out there blowing capital on a running back right now. That's the dumbest thing that they could be doing. They have so many things that they got to fix.
They're really fucking dumb, guys.
And they still have Moss. They're paying Moss. Just run it back.
They are really dumb, really, really dumb, and it could happen. But outside of the top, like, real tight handful, not all those other guys that are fun. Like Chase Brown went out there and did it, and they got a bunch of problems they got to figure out without being the running back. And the coach has already said we needed him to show us a couple things last year, and he showed us what we needed him to show. So I think
I'm thrilled because I have a shit ton of Chase Brown. I'm just saying when juxtaposed against Christian McCaffrey, it's like that as long as he is healthy, he is going to be the centerpiece of that offense.
Oh, for sure.
Juxtapose. Listen to my man over there. Juxtapose.
Hey, bro, I was staring at a thesaurus for hours today to prepare for this.
When you put your dynasty asset of Christian McCaffrey up on the pedestal by itself and you look at it, you're like, all right, a double Achilles tendonitis last year. My man had to go to another country to work on it. Do you think you could just go take one of your random teams that have Christian McCaffrey on it and get you a mid first round pick for it? Like, can you trade away Christian McCaffrey and get to 17, 18, 19 right now?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I don't think so.
And
I don't think so.
And that's the position. That's the value given away when you make a draft pick with him in the 6th round. And so, I mean,
Could be a league winner though.
Definitely.
For 3 years.
Definitely, exactly. Christian McCaffrey has one of the biggest differences in outcomes this year for dynasty value.
That's a make or breaker right there in that 6th round. That thing smashes. It's ridiculous.
He's the definition of a luxury pick item right now. If you feel like you've crushed your first 5 or 6 picks in the dynasty startup this year and you want to take a swing on Christian McCaffrey, I'm not going to hate it. You just need to zero in on the next 3 picks because he could be Achilles tendonitis and went to Germany. I mean, I don't even understand these.
I like this team build though. He went heavy hitter wide receivers. He's got Jefferson, St. Brown. He's got Kyler, Tet McMillan, so old and a freshie. And then he's got Cam Ward in there, so he needs another quarterback to feel completely safe. But then he went Ayuk, Kincaid, took some value there. Then he got Golden and Harris, 2 young guys. Then he went all young running backs from there on out.
Mm-hmm.
And then Xavier Restrepo and Besh. So he's got a bunch of young guys. He can go. His team can float with Christian McCaffrey's value here a little bit. It doesn't sink him because he's got some young guys and he's not all in on the old guys.
I like it.
If you have Christian McCaffrey. So, all right, let's for real get out of here.
Enjoyed it.
Yeah. Ed hit us with a question in the super chat.
Okay. Hold on. I could guess what this question is.
What can you?
Is Ben Johnson a good fit for Caleb Williams?
How did you know? That's it.
It's his favorite thing to ask.
He's asked it 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Hey, he's paying for it.
Yeah, well, yes,
You
I
can
do.
Save your
Yes, the whole thing about the Bears, just roll that back and, hey, we're going to help the offensive line. I trust Ben with Caleb. Caleb, he wouldn't took this job if he didn't think he could work with Caleb. So he's been very selective. So,
Definitely.
yes. This is a silly question, and I hate that some people were like, is Ben Johnson really the best fit for Caleb Williams?
That's
Shut the
why
fuck up.
Ed is trolling.
Yeah.
That was a troll question.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do I hit the outro music?
Hit it.
Get it.
Hit it. I
All
was
right,
thinking
guys.
a long time ago, and then you went down a Bengals rabbit hole.
Yeah, hey, that's what happens.
You just
Married
can't.
to the
I'm
game.
not going to put up with all this Chase Brown hate. I'm just not going to put up with it.
I won't stand for it. If you have hate in your heart, let it out.
All right. Well, make sure you go check Chev out.
In the comment section.
Wherever you can check Chev out. Where can we see you, Chev?
Well, mostly in the comments of all of the videos.
Get
now.
in there.
On the FF Dynasty
also
is where you can
find
see
me-
Chev. God damn it.
Motherfucking FFD.
You also can find me in the local cement aisle of your Home Depot whenever you want.
Dude, cement sold out. There's no cement.
He's a cement soldier.
No, I mean, we're at 2 Guys 1 Pod FF on all social media platforms. At Chev90 is my personal account. And you can find us on Fantasy Sports Advice Network for the podcast. And, the Dynasty Pulse, I co-host that on Thursdays. It airs on Fridays. So, yeah, that's where I'm at.
Man sounds busy.
Yeah, he's busy.
So busy.
Guy's busy. Guy's busy. It's expensive
Got
money.
kids too and a wife. Well, I would have thought single.
Yeah,
Gay. Who's got this much time?
Who knows?
He's grinding. I like it.
He's grinding, baby. All right. Obviously, you can catch us every Monday live, or most Mondays live anyway. And we'll be back to mock drafting. Of course, make sure you subscribe 5-star on the pod. We'll catch you next time. Peace.
Peace.